What's up, guys? Mr. Fit to Flourish, and I got a request to make a video on the art of letting go, how manifestation uh, how you create your reality through manifestation. But to focus more on the trading aspect of this. So, in terms of trading, and the question was, hey, and this is the problem for a lot of traders is, hey, I'm not letting my winners run, and I'm not cutting my losses early enough, right? And this was a pretty big problem for me because I was getting pretty big wins, but then my losses were ginormous. So it was like just offsetting my big wins. It was like, oh, big win, oh, look everyone, and then it's like negative a bajillion K, and it's like, oh, don't look everyone, right? But how do you let go? And as traders, the thing that you're going to need the most, that a lot of people don't talk about, is you're going to need confidence. You're going to need confidence, and the only way to build confidence is through repetition. And only through repetition are you going to have that faith. And um, essentially, faith is the things unseen, whatever. We talked about this in another video. You have to trust the process and understand that you will get there. As long as you don't quit, you will get there. But you have to trust. You have to trust in yourself that you will get there. And the only way you can trust in yourself is by putting in the work yourself. Okay. And we talk about the be do have principle. The be do have principle is you are being a trader. So who is a trader? Someone who shows up to the charts every day. They document their trades. They learn about the markets. They learn about economics, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So being a trader, that's who you are. So what do? You're going to the charts. You're documenting your trades. You're making sure that your risk to reward, your reward is always bigger than your risk, right? You're managing risk. So that's things that you're doing. So essentially, all you have to worry about is being that person, and then doing the things that that person does. Okay. And right now, with this question that a lot of people ask when it comes to, oh, I don't let my winners run, and I don't cut my losses early. The problem with that statement, and I used to think about this a lot, is that when we think about that in that way, we are thinking like, oh, I don't have the things that a trader has, which is a successful trader, which is, oh, I don't have the million bajillion dollars, right? That's what essentially that question comes down to. It's like, oh, I don't let my runners run, my winners run, and I don't cut my losses early. Well, what happens then? Then you either break even as a trader or you're losing as a trader. That's fine. And that's fine. You have to understand that it is a process. But essentially, if you continue to be the trader and you can continue to do the things that a winning trader would do, right? Documenting, practicing every night, uh, writing down a journaling what's wrong, journaling the stocks that you're looking at, making sure that you're focusing on a couple stocks, managing your risk. Essentially, you're going to get there. You're going to get there, and you have to have that faith that you're going to get there. But the only way you can get there is through confidence and repetition. And you have to eliminate the whole having part, because essentially, if you're being that person doing the thing, you're gonna have the millions and bajillions of dollars. Okay, it's not gonna, it might not come overnight or whatever, but it's gonna take those repetitions, and it's gonna take building confidence. So just don't really focus your mind on the process. Focus your mind on the process, because just like anything else, like if you're working out and you're trying to lose weight, right? You're not going to keep looking at the scale every single day. You'll do some check-ins for sure. You'll do some check-ins, but essentially, you know what you need to do. You know what you need to do. You need to be documenting the things that are right, or following a system that has proven to be already proven to be right. Okay, but let's go back to the whole confidence part when it comes to trading, right? Because that was the thing that I was like, what the heck? What am I doing wrong? Well, I know what I was doing wrong. I started documenting my trades, and I was like, well, it looks like I'm sizing in pretty heavy, and I'll get pretty good wins. And then I'll size in pretty heavy even when the markets aren't moving, and I'll get pretty bad losses. Okay. So what I started to do was take it as more of a systematic approach, because that's really what trading is. It's just a system, right? It should be more of a systematic approach. And what did I do? I started to make action plans. Okay. And you don't need to make action plans. I would recommend it though, because then your trades are going to be more if then based. So what do I mean by that? I mean, like, if this happens, then I do this. If this does not happen, then I don't do anything. So that's how a lot of my systems are. Especially in the Discord, you'll see the action plans the night before, you'll see if we hit this level, then we take a trade. If we don't hit this level, I'm not trading this stock. I'll look for this stock. If we hit this level, then we'll take a trade, right? But essentially, making action plans, making things more systematic, so that you're not, you don't have to think about it so much, and you literally are just being a trader. You're doing the things a trader would do, and essentially, you're gonna have good profits. Okay, you're gonna take the trade when the trade is made available to you. Another piece of not letting winners run and not cutting losses early is that essentially, to allow winners to run, you're going to have to reduce your port size. So the best way to build confidence, I always say this to everybody, you have to reduce your port size. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're putting on pretty heavy trades. So let's say you just have a margin account, you just got a margin account, you're at $25,000 in your account, you're putting on trades that are like $5,000 to $10,000 sizes, and we're talking options trading specifically. I mean, even trading small cap stocks, right? So you're putting on options trades. You're $5,000 to $10,000 in a trade. That's a little heavy. That's almost half your account, right? So you're definitely gonna want to get out of the trade as soon as freaking possible. You're gonna be like, oh dang, I'm up 20% on a 5,000. I put 5,000 in. I'm up 20%. I'm up $1,000. Oh, let me get out. And then it ends up going to like 200%. You could have made $10,000, right? Um, or yeah, $10,000 or $15,000, right? But and then your hindsight's 2020. You're like, dang man, I should let it run. Well, no, you're too scared. You're too scared. That's why you're not staying in the trade. You're a little bit too heavy. Okay, that's a lot of the time. That's really all it is that we're just a little too heavy into the trade. Okay, so again, that goes back to reducing your port size to build confidence. So once you reduce your port size, you can then relax. You can then relax. In these verses, in these Bible verses, and in all of these esoteric teachings, it tells us that we need to essentially be still. Sorry about all this itching and scratching. I just came from workout, and then I went running outside, and it's like I'm like itchy and stuff. But anyways, um, essentially, these verses, they literally tell you be still. Okay, life was created in the stillness. If you're panicking, right, then you're not gonna do well. Okay, and this comes to that fight or flight type of mode thing. Like, you freeze, right? You're gonna freeze. You're not gonna be able to take action if you're panicking, and you're gonna panic if you're too heavy into a trade. Okay, you're also gonna panic even if you're not heavy into a trade. You're gonna panic if you didn't put in the reps. You didn't put in the reps, and it's your first time trading, and you put in, let's say you just put in $300, and it goes to zero. You're like, oh shit, like you didn't know what to do because you weren't confident because you didn't put in the reps. So the two things is putting in the reps, and I'm sure if you watch these videos, you probably put in the reps, right? Um, but I know for a fact when people don't let winners run and when people don't cut losses early is when they're sizing in too heavy. Because when you're not cutting your loss early, you're like, oh my gosh, this loss is really big. If we could just go back to break even, right? Please, if I could just go back to break even. And that just goes to following your system. All right, following your system. And one piece of advice when it comes to trading. So this is a whole trading video. So if you're not a trader, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get into some trading terms here. I tried not to make too many of my videos trading. Anyways, but when it comes to stops, you have to keep your stops, but not in the sense like, oh, like I put the stop here, I have to keep it. No, 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 no. When you look at a trade, when you look at a trade, you need a pretty big reward to the risk. That's when I get into trades when the reward is a lot bigger than the risk. And then I'm gonna make a video on this specific topic, on like looking at the chart. You don't have to do the R tool and show the RR, like that shit's stupid. You could literally look at the chart and you could see, all right, if this goes down, like I'm going long, okay, I'm going long, which means I'm buying calls or I'm buying the stock I'm expecting it to go up, right? So if I'm gonna go long, I need to look at the chart and have a visual reference of what is the downside. How far down does this stock need to go before I know I am wrong about the trade? And that downside needs to be really, really small. So the way I look at it is, I look for breakouts. So when we break a previous high, that previous high, usually if we break back below it, um, depending on if it's a key level or not. Like that will be like if we break back below it, then I'm like, okay, then I was wrong about the trade. I'm out. Okay. And a lot of my losses now are just 10 to 20% maximum. Okay. And that's really good. That's really good. All right. And the reason is when I look at the chart, I'm making sure that, okay, if this goes the other way to the downside, that space needs to be really small compared to how far this could go up. And only then should I be taking really should I be taking trades. I know there's some people who are like, oh, just take a one-on-one risk. Like, nah, man, you like to be successful in trading, all you have to do is have your wins a little bit bigger than your losses. You can make $2 and then you could lose $1. You'll be up $1. Okay. That's all you need to do. Okay. It doesn't have to be, oh, I made $1 million here and then I lost 10K here. Like, oh, I'm a million up. No, like it's you win $2, you'll lose $1, you're up $1. That's it. Your reward just needs to be bigger than your risk. Your wins need to be bigger than your losses. So essentially, only take plays where the reward is massive and the risk is very small. And you can always tailor your setup to that. You can always do that. So for instance, if you get a bullish engulfing bar, you say, hey, if we close below that bar, I'm out. But that bullish engulfing bar will show you like, hey, we're going to be moving back to the upside. Or there's hold levels and different things. I'm going to have to show this in another video. But again, your risk has to be very small. The downside has to be very small. Your reward has to be pretty big. Those are the only trades that you should be taking, really. Okay, to minimize your risk. And then essentially, you need to reduce your port size. Reduce your port size. Okay, so that means if I'm putting 5 to 10K in a trade, I only have 25K. Kind of cooked. You're kind of cooked. You're setting yourself up for failure. All right. And I know a lot of people want those really big wins that you see on TikTok and stuff. You're not going to get those big wins if you keep setting yourself up for failure by taking these fat L's. It's going to kill your confidence. The best thing to do is literally reduce your port size by 2/3, like at least at the minimum. Okay, 2/3. You're putting in 5K into the trade. Start putting only 900 to 1,000 into a trade, maybe 500 into a trade. Okay, something that's so negligible that when you put it in, like you're literally, your heart is not beating. Because I know when you guys are putting money into trades, your heart is freaking beating. Okay, your heart is freaking beating. And once you're panicking, then you're not in that God mode. God mode is being still, understanding that everything is going to happen exactly how you want to. But you can't be in that mode if you're panicked about something. Okay, so be still and know that I am God. You need to be still. You need to relax. The only way you can do that right now in the beginning is to reduce your port size and allow the play to play out. And if it goes to the downside and it hits your stop, then you're out of there. Okay, you're out of there. And yeah, and like I said, when it comes to faith and manifestation, you have to trust the process. But again, the only way you can trust the process is by starting small. Okay, starting small, and essentially, if you literally, if you never quit, it's impossible to lose. And if you do quit, then that means that you never became a trader. You never were a trader. You were never being a trader, right? If you quit, that means you never were a trader. And again, it goes back to the be, do, have principle. In order to have something, you need to first be that person, do the things that person does, and then don't worry about the money coming in. Like, it's gonna come, right? If you're someone who is a gym rat, right? You're a gym head, a gym bro. You just go to the gym because it's who you are. You go to the gym, it's what you do. You go to the gym, and then you're not like, oh, like, let me check the mirror. Am I gonna get cut? No, you go to the gym, you eat good. You're gonna have the body. You're gonna have the body. Okay, these things are just gonna be added unto you. And like we say in the Bible verses, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything will be added unto you. All of that is the kingdom of God. When they talk about that in the Bible, is your mind. Okay, put your mind to it. Okay, what is finding the kingdom of God? Is being whatever you want to be. Is being that person, and then it's going to allow you to do the things that person does, and essentially you're going to have the things that person would have. It's just gonna come. So hopefully this answers that question. Hey, how do I let my winners run? How do I cut my losses early? create a system. Number one, reduce your port size dramatically because you're gonna have to build those reps, the strong reps, which I mean like the wins. So that's what I did. When I was experiencing massive wins, massive losses, I was like, I kind of want to let this run. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put an amount into this trade that is so negligible. I don't even care if it goes to zero. So I would put in $300. I was like, $300. I don't care because I was putting $10,000, $12,000 into trades, $15,000 into trades, and if it goes down 50%, I'm down 7K. That's ridiculous. I was like, all right, this is kind of stupid. I don't want to see that loss. So before the day starts or before I take a trade, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put $300 into this trade, and I will know. You should know that you're wrong. If you go down 30%, usually you're probably wrong about the direction of the trade. So if I go down 30% on $300, that's $100. Like you need to kind of know how much can you lose in this trade. Okay, if this goes wrong, how much can you lose? So if I go down $100, I was like, I really don't care. Going down $100 in this trade, like I don't care. So it's gonna allow you to, all right, I hit my stop, boom, I exit. Oh, I'm down $100. Well, what if you put in that 300 in the options trade, and you hit 100%, but you're still looking at your targets on the chart. You're like, oh, okay, I want to let this run. I want to let my winners run, right? Well, since it's only $300 and you made $300 because you're up 100%, right? You don't really care still. You still don't really care because it's like, okay, I made $300. Nothing too serious. Maybe that is serious for someone, but you might be like, hey, it's not too serious, but we're not focused on the money. Okay, we should never really be focused on the money when we're trading, at least in the beginning. All right, because it's just gonna come. When you're a trader, you're looking at charts, you're analyzing patterns, and you're in there to win, right? You're in there to win these trades, and you're trying to make predictions that are pretty accurate, and you're in there to win. That's all we really need to be focusing on is to win, right? Great traders are going to win trades. They're going to let their winners run. And the only way to do that is to start small, all right? To start small. And then essentially, one day, with the compound effect, you're going to see your account start to build up. Your confidence is definitely going to grow. And then you're just going to have that million bajillion dollars. So, again, all I recommend is continue to practice, create a system, make sure your reward is a lot bigger on the chart. Like the upside is a lot bigger. Your targets are pretty big compared to the downside. When do I know that this trade is going bad? Okay, you need that downside to be very clear and very small, and those are the trades that you should take. And then reduce your port size. It's literally the key. Reducing your port size is going to change your trading forever. You're literally going to be the best trader of all time because then you're going to be thinking clearly because you're going to be still and you're going to know that you are God. Like you're going to be like, oh shit, like I couldn't even see. You're not even looking at the chart if you're focused on the money. Like if you're putting like 20K into the trade, you're like, oh my god, 20K. If this goes bad, then like you're not even looking at the chart at that point. Your mind is just focused on the money. You're not even seeing. Okay, okay, you're not even seeing because you're not even focused on the chart. So then, if something is happening on the chart that tells you you should not get in, you won't know because you're so focused on how much money you should be putting in. Anyways, it's your boy, Mr. Fit to Flourish. Hopefully this helps, and I'm outie.